So now there are some questions that I want to answer from chapter 1 of Bodhicharyavatara. And the first question is from Tashi Dolma, the January 25th. Teachers have sometimes reminded us, when faced with another's suffering, when we want to rush over and help, to stop first and notice, is it our own discomfort we want to make better, or the suffering of the other being? I understand the point being made, yet get tangled up in a self that starts conceptualizing and analyzing instead of opening my heart to just help. Would you please comment more on this? I fully agree with you. Of course, when you see something not negative, not so nice happening, somebody suffering, you naturally feel uncomfortable. You naturally feel bad, and that's why you want to help and you want to make the person feel better, and also by that you feel better. So I don't think there is anything wrong that you try to help somebody because you want to feel better and you want to make others feel better. I don't see this a big problem at all. So what I think is that but the men, I think what the warning from this, I don't know whoever the teacher is making is, I think, that is it not just for you and not for the others? If you are doing something and you kind of claim it's for the benefit of others, but actually it's nothing to do with others, it's only, for you, then maybe it's not so good, because maybe that other person doesn't really need or doesn't really want you to do something for them. So therefore, this is something to understand, I think. The next question is, I have a question about stanza 23, which begins, could our father or our mother ever have so generous a wish? As a parent, I am aware of wishing all good things for my daughter, especially happy relationship, interesting job, etc. But I'm also aware that this kind of wishing actually causes me a lot of suffering when I fear she will not get these things. Since beginning to study these teachings, I realize that if I can wish her just to be free from suffering, this leaves me a better state of mind. Can this still be bodhicitta even though I feel it is me who is benefiting? I think one thing which is very important to understand is that when you wish well to somebody, when you have compassion, when you have love, when you have bodhicitta, it is not necessary that you have to suffer. Only other has to benefit. That's not the case. Others has to have benefit, but I also have benefit. That's nothing wrong. So therefore, of course, parents wish a very best thing for their children. But what is talking here about is that they do not know what is the best for the children most of the time. It does not mean to say that the children know the best. They also don't know sometimes, and they make mistakes. And then it's the duty of the parents to try to explain to them when they're making a mistake that they're making a mistake. That's another matter. That's not to say that the parents can never make any suggestions or any advice or give their experience and guide their children, but try to guide them in such a way that they not just push into some relationship or some thing that you think would be good for them, even if they don't like it. Not do that, but try to bring something which is more long-term and genuinely benefiting for them. I think that's the understanding here. Then there is a next question is, the question I have is about some of the suffering experienced in the world today. At the moment we are experiencing more severe weather disturbances, earthquakes and other natural disasters than is usual for the world. It is not always clear if these are due to the activities of man or simply to changes in the physical world. As well as this, there are many wars, conflicts, turmoil and difficulties. Can it be said that all these things happening in the world are due to karma, or are some simply the consequence of physical and organic laws working in the world completely independent of karmic consequences? Now, it's interdependent. The world is interdependent. Everything is interdependent. So therefore, you cannot say only one thing. You cannot say everything is because of only this. There are lots of causes and effects. That's the first thing to understand, and that's the theory of karma is coming from the philosophy. The philosophy of karma is coming from the philosophy of interdependence or dependently arising. It's same and one. Everything has its causes and its conditions, and because of these causes and conditions, then things happen. It is not to say that everything happens to me is my fault. It's not like that. It's lots of causes and conditions there. So there are lots of causes and conditions that's not made by me. There are lots of causes and conditions that's made by me and my people or our people also. But one thing very important to understand is what I experience, the way I experience is totally because of me. That's my karma. So therefore, whatever may be happening around me, the way I experience it, the way I react to it, the way I see it is because I am like this. So therefore, that is my karma. So I think I have explained this many times. So this is very, very important to understand, to see this clearly. But then, of course, what happens to the world around us, our container, the world we live in, it is not very difficult to see how much we have, destroyed it, how much we have, violated it and polluted it in last 100 years. This is something that is very clear, and so therefore if we continue to do that, I think it is very clear that our world will become something very difficult to live in, and that will affect all of us. So therefore, and all our future generations. So therefore, it is also very important that we should take care of our, our home, our, our mother, the way we live. So therefore, this is also very important. So this is karma also, that, if I do something, if I clean my home, then I will have a clean home. My children will have a cleaner home. If I, make my home, my place, my room, full of dirt and full of, pollution, then I will have to sleep in that. So that's karma in a way. So this is also very important to understand. Next question is, it looks as though these events that so commonly give rise to suffering may become more common over the next few decades. But it seems to me that just as you can get a downward spiral, you can also get rise to an upward spiral. What would you say is the best way to help make sure that in the future things turn in this good upward way? It is absolutely true. Things can go down and things can go up. It's up, how I experience myself and how I make my life, or how I make my world, is very much up to all of us. So if all of us work together, we can create this world a better place to live in. And so therefore, that's why, you can look into what are the main causes of the, problems that we have contributed to make this world a worse place to live. Basically, it's the conflicts, the hatred towards each other. We fight, we inflict harm to each other. We make bombs, and we bomb, and we make so much weapon. We kill each other. Hatred, that's one reason. Conflict coming out of hatred. Then greed. Because of greed, we exploit the land. We attack each other. We try to grab at each other. And all the conflicts, wars come out of this. That is one reason. And then ignorance, because we don't know what's good for us, what's good for our future. What is how to make our life better. Just today and tomorrow for our children. So if we can take care of these three things, if we can generate compassion towards each other, if we can learn how to live together in a cordial way and kind way, that will of course make this world much better and all the society much better. So this is the important thing. Then thank you for this inspiring teaching. Next question. When you talk about action bodhicitta, I relate this to my work in the National Health Service. When I see individual people whom I aspire to help, of course not always successfully, how is it best to remember the bodhicitta aspiration during a busy working day so that can be clearly in my mind? Would it be by memorizing particular stanzas, or even by bringing a particular image to mind, as this is more immediate? I think it's not really necessary to have too much like that. You have a general attitude towards, I'm here to do something good for everybody, whoever is next to me, I try to help. I don't have to too much think about how I feel about this all the time. I just go and do, to do something good and helpful. And if somebody says something, if somebody does something, I should not feel too, sensitive about my own emotions and my own feelings. I think that's the way I should go forward. Not always like, thinking about me, but thinking about the other person and my work. So that's, I think, the way. I don't know whether, if you have certain problems sometimes, you feel too much kind of frustrated, or too much, anxiety or nervous or something like that, or, too tired, then maybe you can have certain things that you can remember and you can say, and, you can say a mantra, or you can remember some stanzas, or something that inspires you. This you can do also. This is a very basic question, but I would really like to understand if there is a direct connection between the bodhicitta aspiration and the four immeasurables. These are part of my daily practice, and I always find myself wondering if they are saying the same thing, or maybe in some way are distinct from each other. Could you kindly clarify? It's the same thing. It's the exactly same thing. For immeasurables is the way to generate bodhicitta. Then next, is there not a danger for us samsaric beings to think that just thinking positive thought is enough, that we can live doing something about it till later. We are not at the stage where our compassionate thoughts produce results spontaneously, as we are told Buddhas to do. Nevertheless, maybe our thoughts act on our minds and take us a little further on the path, make us a little more capable of compassionate action, just as the resolution to act precedes the action. Could you kindly comment? Nobody is saying that just have a positive thought is enough. It's not enough, therefore we have to act. But it is must, as a, to have a positive action has to be preceded by a positive thought. Otherwise you would not do a positive action. So positive thought or positive intention or motivation is the first step, and so that's very important. So we cannot have positive actions without positive motivation. So it must be generated, and must be generated, very important. But, and that should, if you really have a positive, motivation, then the positive action will naturally come, and it should come. If it doesn't come, then that thought was not good enough or not deep enough, So therefore, it must continue. It is a step. It's nobody is saying that it's enough, but it is good. If you have even a little bit of positive thought, it's much better than not having one. So therefore, it's very, very good on its own also. So this is, this is the understanding. Then next question is, at the end of the talk, you recommended a book on reincarnation by Ian Stevenson. Stevenson has written several books on this subject. Could you tell us which particular one you recommend, please? Actually, I don't know anything about Ian Stevenson. I just heard recently about him, and then I Googled, and then I found very interesting things that he said and his findings and things like that. So I have not read any books of him, but I think you should read all of them, or at least some of them. I read parts of things that I can find, and it was very good. I haven't really got any books from him. So it's something I just suggested, because somebody asked me, can you say something about what his findings about? I never heard about him, and actually most people have never heard about him, although it seems he has done a really very important job. Lots of research in this, the reincarnation kind of side. Then there is another question, Ruth. My main practice is Mahamudra, and my main prayer is the Dorjin Changdoma. There seem to be some discrepancies in the way this prayer has been translated, and it has caused problems for me when trying to follow the debates. Could you please advise me as to the correct interpretation of the last line of the stanza relating to non-distraction? Should it be free from conceptualization or free from the idea of something to meditate on? For me, these two phrases have very different meanings. This is not a very easy thing to translate, because the concept is a new concept. So the different translators have translated in different ways. So therefore, but the main thing is you try to let your mind be as natural as possible, and then as it said, let your mind be fresh. What is said here? Non-distraction is the body of meditation as is taught. Whatever arises is fresh, the nature of realization. To the meditator who is simply in naturalness, grant your blessing that my meditation is free from conceptualization. Then another translation is, non-distraction is taught to be the actual meditation. Thus, whatever arises, the true meditator simply rests within the uncontrived, in the very freshness of the essence of thought. Grant your blessing that he may be free from the idea of something to meditate on. Well, this is different translations. So I think it's not important. You should not get fixed on the words. I don't think any word can really say the actual meaning. The words are just symbols of thoughts, of words, of expressions. So whatever words you say, you can get the same meaning if you understand what it means. Whatever words you say, you can get something wrong meaning if you don't understand it. So better understand the meaning, better get some teachings and really understand it by by those teachings. Do not depend on the words too much. Thank you very much.